What was the plan for today? I don't know what the plan for today is. Oh, talk to... yeah.
Can I help you?
What if I told you I got in the back room? Behind the blue steel door? Oh, okay. Well, I did hear you make some noise back there, so good for you. He's really, really holding himself back here. Takes a lot of willpower not to ask. Obviously, he's been waiting to know what's behind the door. Aren't you going to ask me what's back there? Okay, what is back there? The black gaping maw at the end of time. No, I'll just tell him. Pinball machines. I knew it. I've always wondered where those machines by the door came from. They told me there was some kind of pinball thing here, too. I knew it. Were there any back there? In working order? Do you want to play? I might be up for a game. No, I was just wondering. If you found pinball machines there... If you're thinking of selling those pinball machines, I want a fat cut. C-suite shit. Those machines are whirling property, but if it makes you feel any better, I'm not planning to sell them. It wouldn't hurt to get a little life in here. Other than the hellish karaoke machine. That one's always causing trouble. Those numbers he's adding up must be making good sense to him right now. Sounds like he cares about the place. He's not going to be overjoyed to hear that it's part of the doomed commercial area. You should still know. You have to be forewarned. I may have discovered that the whirling is part of a doomed commercial area. What? Why would you say that? We're at a completely different address from that whole thing. So he knows of the doomed commercial area and its address. So you know of the curse. Everyone knows of it. It's listed on the intercom as one of the businesses in Building B. You should get your wiring fixed. I tried to call and couldn't reach you. I've been working here for a long time, and that intercom has never been used by the whirling. Perhaps it will escape the curse. Does this look like part of a doomed commercial area? This pre-revolutionary tile work, these high ceilings, the nice rooms? Well, most of the rooms. For 14 years, man, that's how long I've worked here. I've kept this place up through hail and through sleet. Fuck me, if some doom ghost... He's done a fine job, too. Though he's spoken of the place dismissively before, the hostel is actually very important to him. Really care about the whirling, huh? Yeah, it's slowly growing on me again. It's beautiful in its own way, especially for this neighborhood. I've been trying to keep it that way, even if it is part of the doomed commercial area. Shouldn't be so labeled, or worried about that label. I don't place much stock in the curse and so on, but the label frightens the clientele. Who wants to stay at a doomed hostel? Everything's doomed enough without that. Who named it the Whirling in Rags? Sure as hell wasn't the real estate company. You look surprised? What? It's a great name, I know. Cafeteria managers come with great names too. It's from a song. Hail Holy Queen by the Ateneers. Hail Holy Queen of the Sea, you're whirling in rags, you're vast and you're sad. Oh, good pick. Too bad it's all doomed. No, good luck with this place. Luck has nothing to do with it. I need to think about where I'm going to place those pinballs. I have a feeling they're going to help. Also, there's a peephole in the wall. What wall? Upstairs in the secret back room, right next to Classia's bedroom. I found it when I found the pinball machines. I'll have it fixed at once. Thank you for letting me know. I assure you, the whirling does not abide spying on its guests. The color has drained from his face. Are you sure you haven't been spying on your guests? Absolutely not. Fuck you for even implying it. It wasn't me. It wasn't my staff. The establishment will look at it and ascertain what it was. Sir, he was only asking a question. It's his job. And mine. See that it's covered. Yes, I absolutely will. He calms his breathing. Sorry, it's been a bit of a day. And now a hole in the wall. Why did the color drain from his face if he wasn't guilty? Whatever. A spirit decor. Yeah, the common spirit existing in members of a group and inspiring enthusiasm, devotion, and strong regard for the honor of the group. In this case, the group is the police officers. That is what that skill gives me. Let's, I guess, talk to them right now. Get it out of the way. Actually, how close am I? I still need 50 points for... Before I talk to them again, I think I want to finally get something out of Kuno. Pretty please, Kuno. Where am I going to get some... Oh. That's what we'll do first. It's Wednesday. It's possible that the other half of the world is open now. How will I know which way to go if I don't have a map? Some drugs before I try to steal it. It might help. He's seen me try to steal this map twice now. He should be very, very... Alright. You peek at the storekeep. She's not the problem, he is. Deftly rip the map off the bulletin board and pocket it. You're now the proud owner of a map of Martinaise, which, to be honest, did not even cost that much. Mwahahaha. The worn map features the patchwork grid of the streets of Martinaise, with directions to appropriately touristy locations. Year 48 resides on the upper... Actually, let's do that later. Let's do that while I'm not standing in the store that I have stolen it from.
Esteemed officer, and welcome to Crime, Romance, and Biographies of Famous People.
Your finger moves through the various streets, across Rue de Saint-Ghislain and Rue de Saint-Cispert, over Saint-Brun and Martinaise North. Finally coming to a halt on the spot where you are currently standing, although the map gives no such indication itself. A map at last. Oh, but it really doesn't say where I am. So we've been all around this whole part right here. This is going to open up today, I think, and maybe can I get here right away? Or maybe there's going to be another timed element that's like, oh yeah, it's not till Friday that you can get to the third area. Yeah. I mean, it feels like there's still plenty that I could do. I'm gonna have a sit. We can sit on benches after we solve the murder. Oh, alright. So if he's not here, I can just sit on a bench in order to pass time. This or that? I don't know what either of them are. We've definitely never been, like, anywhere outside of here. This is fixed. Pull the lever up. Secret task. Close the water lock on Wednesday. Okay. If we ever need to get to the coast, this is the way. But please contain your wanderlust for now. I don't want us getting sidetracked. Not with everything that's going on. Focus on one thing, achieve it, then the next, he thinks. That's the task chain. It is also possible that solving the murder is only, like, part 1 out of 3, and that we're not actually supposed to come over... Not supposed to. That there's not as much of a point of coming over here until later. Or the other way around. We need to come here. Maybe. A breaker box to power the radio pylon above you. Maybe there's something inside. Tire tracks. May I examine them, please? Someone has broken down the fence and the barbed wire. The swing is missing. No one's been here for a long time. Oh. Rust peels off the bent iron posts of the swing. The wind whistles through the skeleton of the small house behind you. There's desolation everywhere. What happened here? In this yard? The lieutenant looks at the building. A flock of gray swallows takes off in the distance. He's assessing the situation. How long ago was it abandoned? Someone thought they could have a summer house in a bloc obscur for cheap. It didn't work out. They abandoned it a decade ago. What's a bloc obscur? A black block, a part of the city left unrenovated after the war, or one that has fallen to gang violence, or has become inhospitable in some other way. On aerial photos, bloc obscurs look like dark squares, hence their name. It's not an official term in any way, but look around. No sewage, broken power lines, crime, drunks. Life is tough in the blocks. No place to build a summer home. Maybe they left behind something useful. Yes, for you to scavenge. Like a post-apocalyptic scavenger who collects trash and errant magnesium blisters. He gives you a weary smile. It's not meant as nagging, just an observation. We should move. I don't think we will solve the murder with forays into the urban hinterland, at least in this phase of the investigation. So he's against it. Thinks we should just go. Glory to the ghosts of us. Am I close to... I have a feeling that this Jamrock Shuffle here in 28 minutes is going to give me some kind of, like, bonus when I forage things. So maybe let's not explore this new area right this second, because I think it's going to be something like whenever you find money, you get experience. Or whenever you, like, search anything, you get extra stuff from it. Alright, so what is anything else that I can do? Incredibly, I still don't know where my badge is. We could go talk to Joyce anyway. I think that's... maybe that's the way to go. Go talk to her anyway, even though I don't have my badge. On what skill? Oh, I right now have... yeah. Yeah, true. True enough. Well, what else can I do for half an hour? Maybe finishing the thought will make it permanent. That would be bad. Can I talk to this person?
Ooh.
Oh, it's
The
Cindy.
piggies have learned how to saunter up staircases. I didn't think you could do that with hooves, but here you are.
More places where I'm like, oh look, a billion things for me to pick up, but I feel in my bones, and skin that I will get more if I just wait a little bit. So the lock is rusty. You can't get in. The chair is new. Someone lives back there. Above, tarps flap in the wind, forgotten hammers and nails, rust. You could be right. Maybe we'll talk to her for half an hour.
Hello again, officers. Have you come to admire my mural?
How have you been, Soul? I meant to call you once or twice. As I mean to do many things, which I do not. A bunch of people are playing 14 again. Isuna is back. My brother and sister are back. Well, my brother doesn't play very much. My sister does. My cousin Connor started playing. And just overall, I'm doing well. That smell coming from her paint bucket. It's not paint. It's heavy fuel oil. Red dyed heavy fuel oil intended for exclusive use in government vehicles, to be precise. What did you think I was using? Aquarels? Sucked it out of a cop's fuel tank myself back in Jamrock. She really did it. She's proud of it too. Better hand it over. Or what? You'll push me off this ledge and pry the bucket from my dead hands? What's she looking at? Oh, she's looking at the yacht lady. Why all the negativity? You got a crush on her? Aching for an opportunity to defend her honor? Alright. Genshin Impact? I've heard of, It's funny, I guess I had just figured, oh, okay, it's some gotcha, whatever, roll the things, get an anime picture. But I guess it's like a Breath of the Wild style game, which I wouldn't have expected. And it makes me kind of interested to play it, but at the same time, is it actually really good and everyone ever X knows is playing it? Maybe I'll try it. If I equip a pry bar, I have the pry bar equipped, don't I? I do. I've been here before. Maybe I should just read that book. I have a book. Flip through the book. We did this before. What happened when I read through it? Yeah, if I say, wow, this is epic. In the final pages... Oh, I stopped right before the final page when I read it before? Okay. Man from Helmdall mounts Galawaran, his mighty griffin, and turns his gaze to the horizon. Queen Lydiana is dead, but an army of cannibals is storming the gates, and there's still no word of trusty Tybalt. Yeah, I guess reading books really does make time pass very quickly. To find out what happens next, you'll have to pick up Man from Helmdall and the Three-Eyed Skull, available in fine bookstores everywhere. Spring 39. Put the book away. In a way, yes. You are treasure hunting. Most officers from Precinct 41 do what is called the Jamrock Shuffle, cracking open containers. Most of them are from Jamrock or Coal City, the poorest parts of Revachol that also overlap with the royal network of royal catacombs called La Realm, just beneath the streets. As children, you would all go underground hoping to find treasure and come back with a rat's tail or a used needle. That playful curiosity must still be in you. Who knows? Maybe one day the Orbe de Montagne, the Holy Scepter, and the Cocaine Skull will all be yours. Find better loot in locked containers specifically, which are the ones that you need a pry bar to open. Or a key, I don't know. Now to go steal things. Yeah, it seemed like it. For like the reason that thought opened up is because I got into the hidden door, and my thoughts were like, "You really like checking out everything, don't you?" I'm like, yeah, I do. Someone's been sleeping here recently. Cindy? 100 tiny feet scurrying beneath the rats of the city. Enough coal to last for several winters. Smells of chemicals. Fire! Suddenly you feel the box is on fire. Why? Parahelidon. Got some pants. Got a lot of money. Do I want to wear those pants? Although these jeans look worn, the wearer must have had an ass given to them by the mighty Lord himself. That beautiful peach-shaped man ass has imprinted itself so deep in the fabric you can't but wonder if wearing them would start molding your own vague rear side into a more shapely form as well. I'm already getting +1 to electrochemistry. Would I rather have a -1 to savoir-faire or -1 to reaction speed? I'll keep the savoir-faire. And the flare cut. Because why not? Yes, I saw the hind-sighted. Very clever. Alright. Yeah, let's talk to Joyce and then maybe go steal things. Oh my god, can you imagine if I had that perk before I stole the postcard? I probably would have had a map on both sides. Alright, was there anything else I was gonna do here? Half-light. Composure. I'll unequip this again. Yeah. Alright. Talk to Joyce.
Back. Good. What can I help you with?
I can ask her about the tattoos. That's the man who was killed. She almost takes the photo, but then stops. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question. How is you looking at the photo tied with the lynching? Better not to tie the forestay to the backstay on this. How am I missing badge again? Suggestion? Is that one of my things that I don't know. Whatever. Let's say that I've talked to Everett Clare. And how did you like Mr. Clare? Hero of the workers' movement. He is the champion I've sworn fealty to. He's bloated. For a socialist, he's reasonable. I wish to swear fealty to you and the cause of capital. Or I could be very cop-like. And say it's not important if I liked him. I'll joke around and say that I've sworn fealty to her. I'm afraid you have misread the situation, Detective. This is not some feudal conflict. It is a negotiation. And if it were a conflict, the RCM would not pick sides. My colleague's unusual approach to police work does not represent the organization at this time. Shall I double down and really say that? No. Perhaps I misread the situation as a bit more man from Hjelmdal than it is, of course. And don't expect me to share any. And I don't expect you to share anything he told you with me. I'm not a corrupt worm myself. However, if you felt like passing some information, how could I stop you? Are we not human? Are we not curious to hear another person's take? It's only natural. We would only be gossiping. Intellectually speaking, it would be quite interesting to hear what she has to say about these things. Help him turn up the heat on the borscht. Did you know? What sort of borscht does he make? The cook makes it to keep the strikers drunk. It helps them strike. The strike brew, she nods. That's a classic. And by turn up the heat, I presume you meant put more alcohol in it? No, you misunderstand. I turned the knob like this. Beyond curious, I will choose to interpret that as you turning the alcohol in the strike brew down for the sake of our professional relationship. And because I don't like the idea of them any more drunk than they already are. What else? I don't know if I want to say either of those things. I really don't. I say you're on a boat. Does she have a name? The boat? No. It is called Cordelite 19 because that's the kind of sloop it is. How do you like it? My sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby. I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating. I really do. The things. Is she thrown off yet? He's looking at the woman, assessing her. Not a lot of people on boats, are there? Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around? I will look around. Yes, we are. We are on the... I thought we were in Revachol. That's obviously part of... the city of Revachol is on the island of Kailau. I haven't seen anyone else sail a boat. I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kanema motor carriage either. Actually, the motor carriage has been specifically issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol Industrial Harbor. It's not a toy. And neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances of the Bay of Revachol, between the city and the islands. L'Chael. Should I get into this talk again about reality? Sure. Oh my gosh! Wow! I thought of this as something that, oh well, you know, never get this. Because of the. Yeah, man! Wow. So the jamais vu, that was the one where they're like, this is the opposite of deja vu. It's the feeling that things that you see that should be familiar are not. The feeling that you really are seeing everything for the first time. I guess that's probably the main advantage of having that thought at all is just for this one question. Let me ask this first. What is this? Spread your hands. A bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bolt of the polar regions? I mean, what is this place here? This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislain 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot. Or two. What is that? A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see, and new buildings, bâtiments, after La Bâtiments Nouveau. But 33A and 33B are not nouveau, they're old. She looks up the crumbling facade. This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall, a real high-rise by the standards of the last century, built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay and the delta. That was before the war, of course. Who lived in them? Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off. Splat, splat! From a dilapidated balcony, Sydney the skull gives Joyce the evil eye, the red paintbrush held to her throat. Could be wrong, but from here it appears as if she's running the brush across her throat in a sawing motion. Wonderful. Okay, what is... So we know many things about RCM, so this is going to be... No! How? On a what? I rolled a 1? It remains a mystery. I am bad. Alright, well, I'm gonna make this one, though. What is all of this? The scent, the sound, the air? What world is this? What world? The fading pearls of her eyes look to the sea. The only one, I suppose. The world of matter and its pale antipody. The camera of her mind glides over the surface of the water. What do you see? Great bodies of water. Forest-covered surfaces. Clusters of light where the cities lie. You've seen the montage. We all have. This world is enough. There is a term of endearment they coined for it. In the Dolorian century, when humanity was high on this world, discovering more and more of it, these archipelagos included. Elysium. Evil apes. I have no idea. What? What? I don't get it. It does. There are those who would call it hell. What is hell? A term of hatred that originates, like many such things, with the Mesk petrofascists. I don't feel like I've got the whole picture. Oh, you want a picture of the world? Yes. Can I steal it? Can I steal a picture of the world? I have a good... I'm gonna roll well. She raises the finger to her lips. There is no complete set yet, dear. They're having some trouble reaching orbit. Great things are difficult to achieve. For now, we're viewing the world from the inside, sideways. How about it's a ball? That's looking less and less likely detective. You wouldn't know it from the tabloids, but the Org nations have been launching weather balloons into the lower ionosphere since the 30s. Org. O-R-G. Occident Revachol Grad. There's a steadily increasing trickle of images. Between the big three, they're piecing together a dark gray corona. Yes, she pauses. Pale covers... So, this is weird. Pale covers 72% of the surface. There are gray flares and prominences, even arcs, above entire isolas. The images are blurry, but if there was a sphere in there, it certainly looks like it fractured a long time ago. Cold fear seeps into you. The pale? What do you mean by corona? They say there is a rarefied envelope of matter surrounding the darkened disk of our planet. That is, if we are still living on a planet. Or, to speak more plainly, imagine vast swaths of land disrupted by nothingness. Oh, right. I do remember. I'm sorry, dear. It must sound quite terrifying through the acute encephalopathy. Even scientific positivism isn't entirely convinced about what we're dealing with here. But this is one of the great questions of our time. Maybe when they get the complete set together, it will jolt us out of our rut, bring us together, however naive it may sound. So, the world that we are on, she said, was 72% pale. We saw that one book that was about the pale. And a couple of people, I think, have used the word pale before. Is that meant to be like some kind of non-existence? Like the... Makes me immediately think of Fez, where there's the broken parts of the world, like the static that you're not allowed to touch. You have misimagined it. I don't have the power to convey to you the effect and geometry of the images that depict our world from below low orbit. It's like the crowning of the world. It's insane. Very disco. You'd love it. You say it's disco. See, everyone finds something worth holding on to in this world, however wasted its opportunities. Suddenly you're conscious of yourself standing there on whatever this all is. Your arms hang down by your sides. You said pale. What is pale? The pale is not, technically speaking, part of reality. Yes. Also, I think we've had enough excitement for today. We do have a case to attend to. Of course, Lieutenant. Let's try something else. What do you mean it's not part of reality? Ma'am. Remember, you're dealing with a very sensitive and impressionable police officer who is still recovering from a recent medical episode. The lieutenant's right. Let's change topics. Talk to her about the pale without Kim. Or just ask him to step away right now. Yeah. Let's do that. Kim, can I talk to the ma'am alone for a second? Fine. See? What can you do? You're a grown man. What is the pale? Are you sure you're sure? Your colleague seemed adamant. Yes. What is the pale? Okay. The pale is the most dominant geological feature of the world, Detective. The separative tissue between the isolas. It is the inter-isolary mass. What is an isola? Isola is the Messian word for a continent of matter, enveloped on all sides by the pale. Also, isolation, or landmass. We used to believe there was only one. In the last 4 centuries, we have discovered 7. Mundi, Seol, Samara, Ilmara, Grad, Katla, and this, Insulindi. And Insulindi is an oceanic isola. It comprises mostly of water. Mundi is the largest, Katla the coldest, Insulindi the bluest. What can I say? Each is perishing and dear. What is the pale like? Achromatic, odorless, featureless. The pale is the enemy of matter and life. It is not like any other or anything in the world. It is the transition state of being into nothingness. What are its... Whoops, wrong one. If we're surrounded by pale, how do you get from isola to isola? Oh, it is so difficult for us. A squall of birds. Hardware operating in the harbor. Firm. Self-evident. It is possible to force dimensions on the pale. In modern times, we can even compress its latitude, bouncing radio waves from one end to the other, shortening the path. But it is still hard for humans to navigate the pale without getting lost or having our minds damaged. What are its physical qualities? And why did Kim not want us to hear about this? This is the most interesting thing so far. It's difficult to describe or even measure something whose fundamental property is the suspension of properties. Physical, epistemological, linguistic. The further into pale you travel, the steeper the degree of suspension, right down to the mathematical. Numbers stop working. No one has yet passed the number barrier. It may be impossible. We already know this, but I'll ask anyway. The pale outweighs reality 2 to 1. There is more pale than there is matter, and the ratio is slipping. Slipping how? To our detriment? Or what do you think, Detective? It's growing. There's more and more of the pale. Precisely. One of the few measurements of the Pale is that it is expanding at an unknown rate. An intuitive conclusion of that development is that one day the Pale will cover everything, but this sort of talk is mostly left to extremists. Not extreme at all, it's going to happen. Most people, and indeed most private and government sector organizations, entire civilizations and religions even, find handy ways to ignore or downplay that knowledge. I suggest you do the same. Off we go. You see the hanged man's mouth open. Off we go into the wild Pale yonder. One and all, she closes her eyes. They say Pale is death, but for the universe. The whole game could be an allegory for climate change. All the stuff you do with walking around and drinking booze and picking up money off the ground it turns out to not matter at all, because as soon as you get to Friday, the world ends because you didn't do anything about it, because nobody does anything about it. Why should we just leave and the world get left behind? Is it here? No, detective, we're safe. She points to the sea. It begins there, 6,000 kilometers to the north, and even more to the south, east, and west. You are in the middle of the Isola. As your gaze instinctively turns north, a small black pit opens up in your stomachs. And there, an uproar of matter, darling, rising into the Pale, rolling, evaporating even, a great vision. The area of transition between the world and the Pale is called porch collapse. Imagine a gray coronal mist, cold vapor marked by spores of an opportunistic microorganism, a mold that's adapted to grow at the edge of the unrest. It's the most disco thing you will ever see, and it's probably the title screen. Right? In this over here, this thing that I picture, that's probably it. That's probably it. The Pale can damage the mind extensively. Some say the damage stems from extreme sensory deprivation. Others argue that the Pale somehow consists of past information that's degrading, that it's rarefied past, not rarefied matter. They call it the blend over of the self. The Pale does not only suspend the laws of physics, but also the laws of psychology, maybe history even. The mind becomes over-radiated by past. What does this over-radiation feel like? It feels terrible. Absolutely terrible. International standards strictly limit civilian travelers to 6 days of Pale exposure per year. It's more for her. Way more. You're not a civilian passenger? No. Nameless detective of the Citizens Militia. I am a member of the Anthroponetic Business Class. I'm cleared and trained for 22 days of Pale transit annually. Are you over-radiated? Up to my gills, officer. What is anthroponetic? Anthroponetics, she corrects, is the scientific study of the Pale, or a recent iteration of it by way of Grodd. The study of the Pale reaches back 6,000 years. The Paracarnassians called it the Western Plain. Did they cross it? The Western Plain? There are signs of preter-modern crossings. Successful navigation of the Pale relies not just on technical know-how, but intensive psychological preparation. Some of these tactics have been known for thousands of years. What has anthroponetics changed, then? Nothing. We remain powerless before the Pale. The only real advance in Pale transit is the speed with which an aerostatic aircraft can pass it. Less exposure leads to less effects later. Aerostatic craft. Hybrid airships, detective. Conventional rotors or jet engines no longer add velocity after the point of reference for motion is suspended. Once you've crossed from near Pale to far Pale. In essence, we throw them in and they come out the other end if we throw them precisely. If we do not, then they don't. Gone, like a skipping stone beneath the surface or like a bowl into the bay. Let's return to reality. Sweet reality, she stomps her foot. But before we do, tell me, detective, is this the first time you're hearing this? Do you really not remember anything? I'm getting a sense of who I am, but no, I didn't know this. What do you think of the pail? That's a very good question. It's disco, baby. I don't know how you've all survived with it. It's a huge accomplishment. Her eyes tense. Crow's feet radiate from them. She observes you. Your bloodshot eyes and swollen face. You really didn't know. This does not spell good for the investigation detective. If you don't even know this, then... where is this game going to go? I'm so... This is like the longest and most twisted that something has been. Like, you really don't know what's going on. You really don't know where you're going to go from here. Every conversation turns the game weird. There's been a bunch of these. It's happened a bunch of times that I've gone, like, there was the whole autopsy, right? You did the whole autopsy, and I'm like, wow, this almost feels like its own game. This whole thing that we're doing. It really does feel like there are so many different games, like, packed into this one. So many different... like, when I went and played through West of Loathing a second and third time, it was still the same game. You just did things a little bit different. If I went and played through Mass Effect again, and not that there's anything wrong with them making Mass Effect to be just, oh yeah, you go through Renegade, go through Paragon. But this is... I'm really thrown for a loop by this. I don't know of any game that's ever, like, swept me off my feet like this. This investigation will be my masterpiece, the one they remember me by. I hope so, I truly do. If I suggest, hold on to your colleague, Kitsuragi. I ran a check on him, and he is very competent. In the meanwhile, you have me. I will assist you in any way I can, even if we have to do it one basic term at a time. Good. You have not passed out from it. Perhaps I worried for nothing. Are we still on the reality lowdown, or should we do actual police work now? You needn't have worried, but I did. Anyway. Damn it, you're a grown man. The lieutenant thinks shouldn't have gotten protective here. What more reality? Oh, there's the thing that I failed. Let's see if they let me retry it right now. They don't. What is that? Point to Cindy the Skull. The girl and old lady... No, I meant something basic about reality. Oh, no. Ask her again. Sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture. Yes, you and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd, the music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant. Those are all too popular for the girl in old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture. Make it more complicated somehow. I can't. That's how simple it is. One may dye their hair green and wear their grandma's coat all they want. Capital has the ability to subsume all critiques into itself. Even those who would critique Capital end up reinforcing it instead. What next? Suddenly you're not so sure you're part of the superculture. No, I am. I guess I never asked about what brain disorder she thinks I have. Neurological disorder caused by a lack of vitamin B in the brain. Ah, B for brain. Symptoms include retrograde amnesia. It's quite serious. You should get yourself checked out. What causes it? Well, it's either bariatric surgery or long-term alcohol use. Definitely the drinking. The brain vitamin. Alright, oh, now he shows the... Now that we have a map, these things show up there. Alright, let's do that finally. Empathy, legendary, or empathy. We're going to put a point in there. We're going to go succeed on talking to Kuno, but we're going to do it on Thursday. We'll just save and call it a night. One thing that I forgot to... I was going to talk about at this stream and was so absorbed in the game that I forgot to. Twitch has been a huge jerk. Twitch is, like, cracking down on ad blockers and has started injecting ads into streams. I don't know to what, like, I've been trying to read up on it, because there's still kind of an arms race. People are at the stage where they're like, well, what can we do with an ad blocker to, like, get it to work? But people outside of the U.S. might not be as affected, so like there are a lot of people who watch the stream who aren't in the U.S., so I wonder if they're not very affected by it. Anybody who's subbed wouldn't be affected, I don't think. Anyone who has Twitch Turbo wouldn't be affected, I think. But for anybody else who's just watching the show or watching the stream from inside the U.S. without an ad blocker and without being subbed, they throw you ads like every 20 minutes, and it's awful. It's bad enough that like it has me not wanting to stream on Twitch, but I don't think that there's a very good alternative. Like I could go over to streaming on YouTube, but it's like that basically means not having new people stop by the stream anymore, and also losing a bunch of people who already watch the stream. You know, it's something that I don't really want to do, especially if a bunch of people who watch the stream all the time aren't being affected, like if they are subbed or if they are outside the US. Streaming on both at the same time, I don't know if I have the bandwidth for that. I would need to investigate whether that was possible at all. And then plus that technically, or whatever, breaks the agreement that I have with Twitch. Not that I care that much. I should get caught up. Like, I am back to being 6 months behind on VODs.